Okay, you might have noticed that on the research checklist, I asked that you search the local library catalog for books, which you should be familiar with. It's fairly straightforward, but also to search the electronic databases for articles and primary sources. So, how do you do that? I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to show you on KCLS's website, but I'm sure Seattle and Snohomish or whatever your library may be is very similar. You do need to make sure you have your login information, which generally is your library card number, which is on the back of your library card. And then there's a PIN or a password that might be for KCLS. It's the last four digits of the phone number associated with the account. So you might need to talk to your parents about it, but check in with them because a library card is free and you have access to so many resources this way. And once you do get logged in, I'm already logged in. There's databases right there at the top, and you'll find something similar somewhere. Databases is the keyword there. And it tells you a little bit about, you can learn more about the databases. If you're having trouble, there's a help section, and they have it narrowed by subject. I clicked on history and culture, and it brought me here. And there's some videos. Remember, videos, documentaries can be secondary sources. There's a few different things. New York Times Historical could be helpful for both world and U.S. history. And those newspapers are primary sources if they're written from the time. And so I'm going to go to this reference library. And they have multiple subjects, and again, depending on your topic, you might want to look at multiple resources, but I'm going to go down to history, and there's a huge list of resources for me. So I might find something that's going to interest me, that's going to line up with my topic. There's a lot of American history, but some world history as well. So I'm going to go to American eras because it seems fairly good. Although if I go back really quick, notice too, they have a whole database here of primary sources, American decades primary sources. That's from 2000 to 2009, but you can find primary sources and secondary sources here. So I'm going to go to American eras, and these are all pre-1600. That's no use to me, but I'm going to go choose a volume. These are done by volume. And I'm going to click on number 5 because I think that might be the era I need. And it gives me some general topics here, and it's going to vary depending on what source you choose, what you find. So just use your best judgment, use common sense. I know Trail of Tears did deal with government and politics, even a little bit of law and justice. But I'm going to start with government and politics. I can always go back later if I want. And I see some things I can click on, some things I can't. So that's important to think about. And I see Cherokee policy. Unfortunately, I can't click on that, but I do see Indian policy. So I'll click there. And it gives me, again, the bibliographic information. If I'm logged in, which you have to be to use it anyway, you can save this article for later. You might want to print it or save it to your computer as a PDF just to be safe. But this gives me an article that I can use, and it's going a little bit deeper. It's giving me some other things, Cherokee Nation versus Georgia, that I might be able to use and search more for. Okay, so that's a pretty good source to go with. I'm going to click now, going back to the databases page on magazines, or well, actually, going to notice here primary sources, a whole database select category dedicated to it. I'm going to click here on magazines and newspapers. And again, notice lots of historical databases for newspapers. Depending on what library you are at, you should probably search for ProQuest. And most libraries, I think, would have access to articles on a diverse range of topics from magazines, journals, and newspapers. That seems very promising. And I already searched Trail of Tears, but again, look ProQuest, you have a lot of history sources. Historical newspapers, social sciences, news, history. This is a really good database for you. I already searched, and this is what came up. I already searched, or maybe I didn't here. There's a few different options by which you can narrow down your topic. Scholarly journals is going to be my favorite, but I'm going to show you that in just a minute. See, because notice here, 1838, this is from a magazine, which is good. I can use that. This is from a newspaper. Another Trail of Tears awaits. So that makes me think that maybe it's talking about a current event, especially because it's from 1995. So this might be helpful, but not the best. This gives me some images. This is a historical newspaper source, so that would be great for a primary source. This is from a trade journal, so it's from children's book, so I don't think that's going to be helpful. So there's a lot of different things here. I personally think scholarly journals are excellent, so I'm going to click on that to narrow it down. And I get scholarly journals as a little valedictorian hat. I can see get a clue about what kind of, or what the subject will be based on, this is American Indian Quarterly is the journal. This is the Forced Migration Review. So these give me some hints about maybe possible bias I might get. Bias is okay, you just want to account for it and be aware of it. Southeastern Archaeology, it might have an archaeological point of view. Agricultural history. So you're going to want to assess these and figure out which ones you want to click on. And so I'm going to go ahead, and this Arizona Quarterly looks pretty good. Actually, it does look good, but I'm going to go to this Beneath the Underdog, Race, Religion, and the Trail of Tears. Again, keeping in mind, I don't throw it out just because it will have a certain point of view and bias. I just take it into account. And it has an abstract for me. Remember, we talked about those. You don't cite it. It just helps you understand if this is something you want or not. It gives you all the necessary bibliographic information, and it gives you the full text of the article. So certainly very helpful. You can download it as a PDF to save it to your computer. This helps you save the citation. You might want to print it out. Who knows? So that's up to you. If you save it to the computer, that's pretty safe as well. So that's an article. That's a great thing that on the regular internet of Google, as we ran into, sometimes you have to buy articles like this, but these databases at your local library give you access to it. So make sure you use it. Thanks.